Yo, what up? It's your main man, V Squad from V Squad Music. Christian rapper out of Houston, Texas, born and raised Houston, Texas. Out here doing this kingdom work. Checking in with my main man, Deeternal.
What got you into Christian hip hop?
So I thank God for Living Word Fellowship Church. It was built in the year 2000, and it was actually built right outside my neighborhood. And the youth pastor of Living Word Fellowship Church, James Simmons, got me into Christian rap. So when I first got saved, I'm like a freshman, sophomore in high school. And I'm listening to everything everybody else is listening to. The Outkast, the DMX, God Rest His Soul, Pac Big, UGK, you think of it, right? So he's telling me about guarding the spirit, guarding the ears, and he puts me on to the cross movement. Then he puts me on to the ambassador. And this was my first time hearing Christian rap, which would then later move into me hearing Lil Rascal, Trey Nine, New Wine. And so from there, man, I always had a battle of listening to secular, listening to Christian rap, listening to secular. And the closer I got to God, I moved more and more and more into listening to the Christian rap. And I also always rapped and freestyled. Of course, that's just Houston culture. Everybody always freestyles, kicks the flows off the top of the head. So it went from me just kind of rapping about nothing to actually putting substance and giving some spiritual food. So that's what led me to getting into Christian rap. All right, so we're working on a project I have coming out called Kingdom Talk. I'm dropping a volume 1 and a volume 2. So the most recent songs I released, I have a song called Hate that's going to be a single I'll be shooting the video for. And my purpose of even creating that song was just, a lot of times as a Christian, you don't think you're going to deal with adversity. You don't think you're going to deal with haters or, different turmoil. And a lot of times we try to block things off or not talk about it. But that song, I experienced something so personal that I wasn't expecting. It came left field. And instead of, doing the evil thing and just kind of being bitter or, gossiping about the person behind their back, I just took that situation and used it to make a song. And I wanted to do it in such a way that encouraged and inspired other people who hear the song to know, hey, if you deal with something, it's okay to talk about it. Here's one way you could talk about it. So the hook of the song was me basically saying, I keep my head above the hate. Instead of showing love, you hate. And that's really the theme of the song is just, the enemy. The enemy hates everything you do spiritually. You're going to deal with hate, and you can take the spiritual aspect, take the spiritual road every time you do. I started out recording initially, like with anyone, your friend may have a studio at home, so I've done everything, man. I've done everything from the rapping in the closet, rapping in the room, just like in somebody's living room, to the first big studio with Sunrise Studios, recording over there. And I met my man, Deeternal, and got hooked up with Official Dope Media. Honestly, man, through Trey Nine, Eyes on Me Ministry. I met Trey at a show. I want to say it was the Bizzle God Over Money tour, and I got a chance to meet him and really reunite. I initially met Trey as a youth, and it's crazy. I didn't even know that was him, when I met him and reunited, and it kind of just all clicked. And he was like, yo, if you're recording, you need a spot to record. Deeternal, he's amazing, and he couldn't have been any more right, man. It's just been amazing coming through Official Dope Media and just knowing that you have an engineer that can hear what you're trying to do and can take what's in your head and make it come out in your ears and through the stereo. So I've been locked in. I haven't been anywhere else since linking up with my man, Deeternal and Official Dope Media. So y'all stay tuned. We got some amazing music on the way. So currently I have 2 singles playing on Engine Radio. The first single was Mission, recorded with Official Dope Media, my main man. Deeternal laced up Mission, and he also laced up Pray and Then Go Hard. So those just came from relationships that I built. I have to give a huge shout out to Marcus Sullivan in the morning show. He was one of the first people to actually hear the songs and was just like, hey, man, whatever you need to do, you need to get these songs ready because those are definitely Engine Radio vibes. And I was blessed to get the first song I had, the Thursday Throwdown, was with Mission. And then I submitted my songs so that I can get them played for radio. And Engine picked them up. Engine picked up Mission and Pray and Go Hard. So if you have the Engine Radio app because you're not in Houston, Texas, or if you're in Houston, Texas, make sure you're locked in 91.7 Engine Radio, and definitely make sure you're sending the request for V Squad Mission and V Squad Pray and Go Hard. For the younger generation, please take your gifts, take your talents very seriously, and please, please, please stay in prayer. Get spiritually connected. Join a youth group. Join a group at your church. any small groups, any type of Bible study groups, so that you're getting spiritual counsel, spiritual advice, spiritual discernment, so that when you're making these songs, you're ministering to souls out there that need to hear the gospel. So it's no longer about just, creating music, to have a bop, just creating something that's lit. It's great to do that, but it's also very important to know that we're ministering when we're making these songs. So my number one advice to the youth, and I wish that I really had comprehended this when I was younger, it would have taken me a much further route than I went, is to make sure you're staying spiritually connected. So make sure you're praying daily, pray without ceasing. That's one. Two, make sure you're in your word so that you're getting spiritual discernment, you're getting wisdom that comes from God, and that when you speak on something, when you speak on a subject, talk about your past, talk about your pain, because healing comes from you speaking about your pain. But then now you're giving biblical doctrine. From the abundance of the heart, the tongue speaks. So that's why you want to make sure you're diving into your word daily, so that when you're writing these rhymes, you're coming from a place that's biblical counsel. And last but not least, the people that you're around. You may need to switch your circle up. If somebody's just not wanting to hear things of God, then that lets you know right there you need to move and change your circle up. So the first thing I said was prayer. Second thing I said was staying in your word. Third thing, switching your circle up. So if you don't have a local church, hook up with somebody that, has Bible counsels, Bible studies. I know Official Dope Media hosts these. Hit up Deeternal, hit up Cole Rose, and we'll definitely get you on the right track. And of course, if you follow me on social media, shoot me a DM. I'm here for you for prayer and counsel at any given time. So God rest his soul. Rest in peace to DMX. Everyone else right now is dealing with the loss of DMX. If you're a DMX fan, I'm no different, even as a Christian rapper, even as a believer. And it's funny, I actually got on to DMX after I got saved. So Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood was one of the first albums that I actually heard. And again, it was after I got saved. And then I went and listened to As Dark as Hell is Hot. And one of the things that always stood out to me about DMX and what made me a big fan was that he was always praying. And I was like, this is not a Christian rapper, but he obviously has some type of relationship with God, because he always makes sure he's praying to start the album, to end the album, throughout the album, in interviews. It got to a point where radio stations would ask this man to pray, and he will always, in the name of Jesus. Of all religions he could always have, he always stuck with Jesus Christ. So no matter what I heard, parents sometimes don't understand, profanity and the vulgarity and different things that come along with that. But as a child growing up and just getting saved, I hadn't been saved all my life. Hearing that's one thing that always stood out to me, and it still always stands out to me. So God rest his soul. I've always been a huge fan of DMX. Even when I started listening to Christian rap, I never stopped listening to DMX. And everyone may not agree with all of the content, but again, his heart, his love for God, that made me want to make sure I didn't leave that out. Instead of trying to look cool and be cool in songs. When I left Christian rap and I left doing things at the church and I started doing secular, that was one of the things that actually brought me back, was that if this man in the secular arena has no shame of showing his love for God, and he prays, and you have radio personalities asking this man to pray, there's no reason that you as a believer shouldn't get back to doing what you're doing for God. So shout out to DMX, God rest his soul, but that's how I got onto DMX, and that's how I've forever been a fan. So the year is 2009. I don't even know how I got the email. Someone, maybe word of mouth, I'm doing shows at this time. I'm in between being a Christian rapper and doing secular, but just trying to find that balance of what I wanted to do. So as I'm out and about doing different shows around the city of Houston, Texas, and performing at Hush Nightclub, I had just opened up for J. Cole, opened up for Common at Hush Nightclub, opened up for J. Cole at Warehouse Live when he first started his run. And someone mentions to me that 106 and Park is coming to Houston, Texas. So I'm thinking that they're just coming to film. So I'm like, I'm not going to it. Like, I don't want to come sit in the crowd at 106 and Park. If anything, I want to be on Freestyle Friday. And so they were like, well, no, that's what it is. They're doing the auditions. So it's the House of Darion. I go out to it, and no gas, man. I blaze it. I'm doing a couple of premeditated writtens, and I'm doing a couple of freestyles based on the opponent that's in front of me. So I go about 3 or 4 rounds, because basically the way they did it at House of Darion, once everyone got inside, was you got on the stage when it was your go, you had a number on you, and you would battle who's ever in front of you. You don't know who this person is, it's a complete stranger, and what they're testing is to see if you can freestyle, if you can really do something on the spot. 1, are you hot? Are you fired? Do you have bars? Do you have punchline? And 2, can you freestyle? Can you say something about this complete stranger that you had no time to prep for? 4 rounds, I do this. So I leave. I'm not expecting anything to happen, man. I leave, honestly, man. I drive out the parking lot, and I call my brother to go to the studio so we can go on about our life. That same day, about 2 hours, I get a call from the program director at BET. They told me that 97.9, who was there, Mad Hatter, a couple of other people from Houston, ranked me high. And they were like, yo, can you come out? Can you fly out to New York? Gave me the date. I was like, absolutely. And huge thank you to Jay from Hush Nightclub. He's responsible for getting my room booked and my flight booked, because at that time I was broke and I did not have the money, but I had this huge opportunity. So thank you, Jay. When you see this, man, thank you so much that I had that chance to go out to 106 and Park. And it was amazing. It was during the release of Biggie Small's movie, Notorious. So one of the challenges in there was you had to say something about Biggie in your rhyme, which I did. My opponent didn't, so I don't know how I lost, but it was all fun. It was a beautiful time. It's one of the things that I can speak to and say I was on national TV on a huge platform like BET. It's a part of my past, and it's just an amazing experience. So much love to New York, much love to BET, 106 and Park. This was when Terrence and Roxy were on the show, so huge shout out to Terrence and Roxy, and huge shout out to KM. That was my opponent. Follow me on all social media at VSquad Music. That's VSQUAD Music. And just look out for Kingdom Talk Volume 1, Volume 2. We got some amazing music that's going to minister to your spirit. It's going to speak to your soul. It's going to provide some healing. There's so much transparency in these two projects that I want to really make sure that I'm speaking from experience so that others who are dealing with it don't feel like they have to go through it alone. So please stay tuned. Please stay locked in, and more updates, more greatness on the way. It's your man, V Squad.